Hello and welcome to my 7.1 rotation guide for Assassination Rogues. In this guide, I'm quickly gonna go over the gear, the stats, the trinkets and relics you want to use, and then I'm gonna show you how to maximize your DPS as an Assa Rogue. So, let's check out the gear. So for Assa Rogues, uh, we have 3 different stats which are insanely close. As you can see, critical strike, mastery and versatility are insanely close, so those stat values always change depending on what item you get next. So you might want to consider buying all those three as buff food, so you always maximize your DPS. And it's really important to always get new stat values whenever you get a new item, so you maximize the value. You can also see that agility is insanely good for us, so gearing up your rogue and your raid is a good choice because he just gets a lot of value and his DPS increase will be insane. Alright, so let's check out the trinkets. Basically there are 5 trinkets you would like to go for. Bloodthirsty Instinct, Eternal Urn, Eye of Command, Teratron's Betrayal and Spontaneous Appendages. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So at the moment I'm running with Bloodthirsty Instinct, Flat Agility and Haste proc. Haste is the worst stat for you, but the amount of procs you get in a fight by this trinket is insane. That's why it's so good at the moment. And of course the flat agility is really good as well. Then we have the Eternal Own, basically just mastery and agility, my 2 main stats. Flat stat trinkets are really good for Assa Rogues because you always get the value out of it. Mastery will always increase the damage of your abilities when you're using agonizing poison, so it's overall just more DPS. Then we have spontaneous whatever. This trinket used to be, no one really knew how much damage you can do with this trinket, but Simcraft recently updated their values a little bit, so it might be better than others. It really depends on the item level. Because it doesn't have agility, I'm not using it at the moment as well, and it's of course a lower item level. Then we have Eye of Command, really nice as well. It's agility and basically crit. It stacks up really quick, so you don't really have to worry about it. When it falls off, you'll get it. This stacks up really quick as well. And last but not least, we have Teratron's Betrayal from World of the Wardens. It's flat agility and a damage buff. Well, not a damage buff, but you do a lot of shadow damage to the target. It stacks really well with Vendetta, so that's why it's pretty strong. But it really depends on the item level here as well. Basically, all you have to do is sim yourself after every item you get and check out from which item you get the most DPS. Right, let's talk about relics now. Basically, the item level on your weapon doesn't really matter at all. What you want to aim for is get Vendetta cooldown on all your trades. That's really important. Getting Vendetta up as much as possible on your target increases your damage by a lot. Not only does it give you the flat damage increase, but also from the shadows you get another dot on the target. Alright, so let's remove this chicken weird thing and let's check out the DPS rotation. So it's really important to keep up your bleeds at all times and to maintain your elevate planning buff for as long as possible. Usually after checking the logs I get around 70%, 75% uptime on my elevate planning in a fight, for example like Gorm, where I can just attack the targets and don't really have to move a lot. So that's something you want to aim for. To achieve that, we will be using our Envenom on 3 or 4 combo points so that we keep up the buff and our Rupture is gonna hit harder and our Garrote is gonna hit harder. That's really important. Also try to get benefit from your Vanish, from your talents here. You also want to use Night Stalker Efficient, so the first rupture we will apply will be with Vanish Rupture, and of course you want to pop all your cooldowns at the beginning. I'm quickly going to show you how I open up. Basically my opener is always going to be the same. Since I have around 40% crit, the opener doesn't really change that much because the chance of critting is so high that I get extra combo points, so it will always work. It sometimes makes that I have to use another Mutilate with 5 combo points, which you almost never want to do because it's the guaranteed waste of a combo point to get the 6-point Rupture. Here I'm going to show you how I do it. So I start with Garrote, Mutilate, Mutilate, I Vendetta, Rupture, King's Bane, Mutilate. I use my Legendary Cloak here, get Font of Knives, and I'm just going to keep going here. I'm going to use another one, going to refresh here. And that's basically it. Just keep up the already planning buff. Now it's very important. Now I have 5 combo points. Since I have the Legendary Cloak, I'm just gonna Fan of Knives to get 6 combo points here. You can use it. That's why I like the cloak a little bit. It's decent. It's not the best, but it's decent. And then just keep up the already planning buff. As you can see, my Vendetta's almost off cooldown again, which is insane. So now I'm gonna use that. Pump my combo points here. Use my energy wisely. Stack up. I'm gonna refresh at 9. Doesn't really matter much if 9 or 8. It's really important that you never stack your energy as well. So that's basically the goal. It's really important as well that you have weak aura for your agonizing poison, so you know how long it will take and how many stacks you have when you're doing multiple targets. If you're single target, doesn't really matter because it's always gonna be there. But for single target, for multiple target, then get your weak auras going. And here again, when you have the legendary boots, your artifact weapon trait and your vendetta are not gonna sync well, but it's really important that you just spam vendetta whenever it's ready to maximize the damage you can do. I'm just gonna keep going. So now I have some downtime here again, but I need to reply Rupture. It's just if you're talking like me, you sometimes not gonna be able to maximize your DPS here, but it's really important that you keep focused and always have to think ahead of when I use with Venom, how much longer do I need to get another 6 combo points if I have to refresh my Rupture. That's something you will learn by playing as a rogue a lot. It's just a feeling thing. And just gonna finish off. Yeah, that's basically it for the rotation. It's pretty simple, I would say, compared to other classes. But to get the most efficient, it takes some practice. It's really important that you try to maintain your other planning buff as long as possible. Yeah, that's basically the best thing, you know, to increase your DPS is to keep an eye on your other planning buff and try to maintain it, like I said. Alright, looking at talents, there's not much you want to change in a raiding environment. The only thing you might change is Exsanguate, for example in the Halia fight, because of all those ads. Using your deadly poison is way better. Just because of the trait which does AoE damage right here. It's really good in AoE cleave situations. But other than that, you will always go for agonizing poison in the raid environment. If you're doing Mythic Plus dungeons, I recommend you going for Exsanguate and Vigor. But once you reach 10 plus or even 11, 12, you will switch Vigor for Dieter Stratagem because rogues do insane DPS on the bosses, and you will lose a lot of boss DPS if you go for Vigor instead of Dieter Stratagem. But if it's a lower Mythic Plus and you want a good AoE DPS, just go for Vigor and Exsanguate and you will have a lot of energy. especially if you have the legendary cloak. Like me, you can spam a lot of Fan of Knives and do tons of damage. It's really important there is that you keep up your envenom buff, that you apply more poison, and of course you bleed all the as many targets as possible. Yeah, and that's it for the guide for the moment. If you have any questions regarding gear, DPS, rotation,